Well, that would be the business model we sell it, we just don't ship it. So, unfortunately, on the internet, there's lots of links and sponsored content. And it's very easy to go down to a virtual rabbit hole, clicking on things that look like good deals. But I think if you take an analogy that if you were driving to a physical shopping mall to go shop this holiday, you would want to interact with trusted retailers, right? You don't want to be pulling over to the side of the road to be buying things in some dark alley or off the back of the truck. And so I think we want at holiday time to really try to stay in control of our decisions, but be very deliberate about which websites we're going to visit and which types of pitches that we're going to respond to. And generally at Consumer Reports, we're saying be very cautious responding to any unsolicited electronic communication, whether it's an email or a text or a robocall. Generally speaking, you're in better shape to do the typing and the calling yourself. So if you hear from your bank or a retailer that there's a problem with your order, go to their website yourself and type in the name of the retailer. You're going to always be better off to be in control of that transaction. And they're trying to get under your radar. They're trying to induce you to click and make a fast decision and give up your personal information and your credit card number and all the rest of it. So you got to really watch out for that at holiday time.
And I guess one version of the scam is the pretend website, I guess. So, you know, when I was scrolling through, this was a store, a national store brand I'd heard of before, turned out obviously to be a fake website that looked like the real one. Is that a big thing?
That's a huge thing. I mean, there's lots of spoofing of domain names. Sometimes you'll be able to discern it if there's like a couple letters that are wrong. Oftentimes they might put the actual name of the retailer to the left in the domain name and then put another dot. So if you looked at it carefully, you might catch it. But again, you're probably just better off closing out of the browser and opening a new one and typing the name of the retailer. And that way you can be sure that you're getting to the right website.
When I got scanned, I guess I had a tacit assumption that, in my case, Facebook was checking or vouching for these retailers on Facebook. That was my problem,
Yeah, consumers do have some more rights with shopping platforms now, that if you have a complaint when you're shopping on Amazon or eBay, you have a greater ability to go to the merchant themselves or get the platform to go to bat for you. But it's the internet, and there's lots of things on the internet that are not sufficiently vetted. There's so much sponsored content just from advertisers. I think it's really hard to disentangle sometimes. And I don't think that the social media platforms are necessarily screening out all of those types of offers to protect people. So the consumer really has to take as much control as they can in that situation. And I think it goes back to making sure that you're on a trusted platform. And understand that this is a huge business. There are people worldwide that are trying to scam you out of your money, so you got to be really careful what you click on at this time of year.
Chuck, many of us have heard for years about phishing. Say we get an email that looks enticing and then we click it. Now there's something called smishing. What's that?
So smishing is basically the same as phishing. So phishing came through emails, but smishing comes through SMS messages or text messages. That seems to be the dominant fraudster strategy right now. Americans get something like 150 billion scam robocall texts every year, and they're often asking you to try to give up your login credentials like your password or sensitive financial information, like saying, you know, there's a problem with your order, can you please input your credit card number again? You really don't want to respond to any of those. I mean, if it says that it's from a shipping company or a retailer that you work with, go to their website and make sure your credentials are okay there, but don't respond to the text. And so you're just better off to ignore these things, but they come across so frequently and they look like they're urgent, and of course some legitimate companies are sending them, so the consumer has a little bit of a job to sort through what's real and what's fake.
Wow. This may surprise some people. I gather, at least in some cases, younger people report getting duped more often than older people. How is that?
With the rise of online shopping, everyone has become a target, and younger folks are probably a little bit more savvy and skeptical of some of the things that they see. But because they're online a lot, they're an attractive target for scammers. And because also the scammers are able to present their information in a pretty compelling way and often, emphasizing the urgency of something, people who grew up, sort of as virtual natives, always shopping online, maybe they're a little vulnerable to this. People of all ages are falling for scams and unfortunately getting taken in, but it tends to be that older people lose more money, maybe because they have more assets, so they tend to lose more.
I've also read about bogus investment schemes and fake romance schemes. Are those big types of fraud as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any kind of get-rich-quick thing, can take in some people, unfortunately, and then it's often combined with romance. So you have also romance crypto scams. If you really love me, you'll send me a lot of crypto. It often proceeds in stages so that the scammer gradually, develops trust with someone and then gets them to fork over a lot of money. All of that, you really have to be cautious and just be aware of who you're interacting with. And unfortunately, online, you can meet people, you can interact in ways that you might not expect, and sometimes you're giving too much trust to that interaction.
Any other ways we need to be careful that you haven't mentioned yet?
At holiday time, I think people are disposed to look for discounts and to chase certain types of deals. Some of these websites will actually ship you a product that's going to be much less than your expectations. Like, it looks great online, but it's really a scam type of product.
Chuck, how is AI, artificial intelligence, impacting all of this? I mean, are the algorithms making it easier for the bad guys to scale up the scams, making it easier to put these shopping deep fakes out there?
I think in this phase that we're in right now, that scammers are using AI to help target people more effectively, because it can also be used for marketing purposes and to screen through lots of data, looking for people who might be especially vulnerable. With a lot of consumer data sent to the dark web because of security and data breaches, they're often looking to try to complete the digital picture of someone that they have by collecting the other information like their PIN or their password or whatever it is. So I think it's helping them to target people. There is the more scary aspect that they will eventually be using deep fake types of imitations, so they could mine data from your social media profile and extract your voice and your photo or maybe even a video and use that for an imposter scam. So like when your granddaughter calls and she's lost in Central America, she needs you to send $5,000 in gift cards right now so she can be ransomed from a jail. It could be presented in a much more compelling way if they actually have your granddaughter's voice and her photo and video. So we haven't seen a ton of that yet so far, but consumers are going to have to contend with this, and so you're going to have to really be suspicious and skeptical when you get that type of urgent pitch. And it's a common theme in every scam that we see that, you must act right away, and a lot of times just put your phone down and walk away if that's the argument that someone is making to you, because you want to stay in control of your money. And one other thing too is to check your bank statements frequently at holiday time and just be aware of any suspicious charges that might be coming into your bank or your credit card, and that's really a good thing to keep on top of.
Put your phone down and walk away. We've been talking to Chuck Bell with Consumer Reports on trying to avoid online scams this holiday season. Chuck, thank you.
Hey, thank you so much.
It's here and now.
Some Native Americans see Thanksgiving as a national day of mourning. So what does it mean to celebrate Native American Heritage Day the very next day?
While there's undeniable loss, there's still incredible forms of activism and advocacy and recent movements towards self-determination.
Honoring Indigenous people, past and present, tomorrow on Morning Edition of War News.
Tomorrow morning from 5 to 9, Public Radio 88.5. Best-selling novelist and storyteller Amor Tolls is coming to Tulsa to receive the 2023 Peggy B. Helmer Distinguished Author Award. Tolls is best known for his novels Rules of Civility, A Gentleman in Moscow, and The Lincoln Highway. You can meet Tolls in a free public presentation and book signing Thursday afternoon, November 30th at 5:30 at Central Library at 5th and Denver in downtown Tulsa. Visit tulsalibrary.org for details.
Funding for Here and Now comes from the listeners of WBUR Boston, where the program is produced, and your NPR station. From MathWorks, creators of MATLAB and Simulink software for technical computing and model-based design. MathWorks, accelerating the pace of discovery in engineering and science. Learn more at mathworks.com. And BetterHelp, committed to supporting mental health through therapy. Clients are matched with one of 25,000 therapists and can communicate via video, chat, or phone at betterhelp.com/public.
It's here and now. America is getting older. The U.S. Census Bureau projects that by 2034, adults over age 65 will outnumber children under 18 for the first time in the country's history. This population shift is even affecting America's youngest state, Utah. By 2060, the percentage of Utahns over 65 is projected to double. But for many, that age is just a number. David Kondos of member station KUER introduces us to some older Utahns who are keeping their minds and bodies active through dancing.
Okay, everybody, let's line up.
At 9 o'clock on Wednesday mornings, the hottest dance club in Southwest Utah might just be right here. At the Senior Center in the city of St. George. It's a high-spirited line dancing class that caters to people over 60. An instructor calls out the steps from a small stage with wall-length mirrors. A few dozen people decked out in their best activewear, mostly women, file into long lines across the hardwood floor. They tango, they waltz, they Roomba. Watching them cut a rug, you might never know these dancers are in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. Tony Casados has been with the class for 5 years.
I'm 85, and I'm still trucking around.
She says all of this keeps her young.
Well, I look forward to coming here every Wednesday. I make it a point on my calendar, dancing.
For an hour and a half, the dancers work up a sweat. They pivot from Charleston's to Grapevine so fast, I feel a little intimidated.
Doesn't that make you want to dance with us?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can keep up. I don't know how to remember all the steps. That's 75-year-old Ramona Wente. Like many of the folks here, she moved to St. George from somewhere else, in her case, northern Utah. And the community she stepped into at this class has made it feel more like home.
I love line dancing. Makes all the difference in my life. Favorite hours of my week are line dancing.
During a break, someone passes around a tray of homemade treats to share. Sometimes people bring in vegetables from their gardens. The dancers get together outside of class too, going to lunch, to the movies, even fitting in some extra dance practice. Some of the dancers thought they had 2 left feet before showing up at class. Valerie Kazare, on the other hand, is introduced by one of her classmates as the ballerina. She started dancing at age 3. Now 79, she says it's harder to keep moving than it used to be. The class offers accountability and motivation.
You know what exercises you should do. You know all that kind of stuff, but it makes it easier if you kind of have a place to go and a commitment, and yeah, so I think it makes it much, much easier.
Zumba, cardio drumming, jazzercise.
In his office nearby, Center Supervisor Brian Akins thumbs through the monthly newsletter that lists all the other activities folks can choose from here, including one class where they use drumsticks to pummel a giant ball in a bucket.
These classes just get the seniors moving and sweating and grooving. Yeah, they get rocking.
And with all due respect to previous generations, people sweating through their golden years is a bit of a new phenomenon, as more baby boomers enter their 60s and 70s. That generational shift was a big reason why the center rebranded itself 2 years ago, from the St. George Senior Center to the St. George Active Life Center.
The baby boomers, they're not wanting to come to an old senior center like their parents and grandparents did. They're a lot more active. They're a lot more health conscious.
St. George itself is changing too. Not only is it growing faster than just about any other part of Utah, it's also growing older faster. Last year, the median age in St. George's County was 39. Projections from the University of Utah say that by 2060, the county's median age will jump to nearly 52 years old.
Okay, Jojo Tango.
Now, Higgins is quick to point out the benefits of classes like this one go beyond boosting physical health. Having to remember the dance steps keeps their memories sharp, too. And for many folks, just getting out of the house to interact with other people can do wonders for preventing social isolation. Take 78-year-old Lucy Norda.
Line dancing is my life, my family.
When she came to dance class for the first time 2 years ago, her husband had just died.
After taking care of him for 7 years, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I was. And I found myself with line dancing. So I just love it.
And next Wednesday morning, she and her line dancing family will find themselves together again on the dance floor. For Here and Now, I'm David Condos.
Here and Now is a production of NPR and WBUR. I'm Vipar Fernandez in Alameda, California, and from all of us at Here and Now, a very happy Thanksgiving.